Hey, can you
Hello?
hear me?
I
Yes.
hear you only out of one ear, though.
Weird.
Okay, hold on.
Make sure this is.
I don't think it's your end. Here, let me check.
But
Hold on.
wasn't wrong thing anyway. Okay.
Hold on.
Blah
Let
blah
me
blah.
see. Let me see. No, that's not. That's not. No. What are we doing? Nah, it's over here, the problem. Hold on.
Okay. Holding.
Okay.
Holding.
Okay, hold on. Says they're both connected. Okay, try again.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Speak again.
I am speaking. I am
Okay, perfect.
speaking
I got
very
it. I
well.
got it. It's working now. Okay, beautiful.
Okay. Let me make sure we've got the live stream thingy.
The live
Okay.
stream thingy with the thingy and the thing.
Thingies are
All
important.
the beautiful thingies with the thing.
You know when you do that.
All gorgeous. Yeah, they all wind up later like used, yes.
That will absolutely be in our cold open. Sing some more, Yvonne.
The thingies with the thing and the thing. We love little thingies over here. We have a lot of them. We keep them in our place. We share them with everybody, the nice little thingies. Thingy. The thingy. The beautiful little thingy.
Amazing, Yvonne. Okay, with that, shall we start?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to Curmudgeon's Corner for Saturday, November 22nd, 2025. It is just after 3 UTC as we're starting to record. I am Sam Minter, and Yvonne Bo is back. I take it you're feeling
Hello!
better, you're recovered, you're
I
doing
am
great.
feeling a lot better. As mentioned a few weeks back, I got this hernia surgery. I got my nephew giving me shit about it, saying, it's just hernia surgery. I'm like, listen, asshole, you got it done when you were 15. Let me tell you something. All of these things, when they happen as we are older, are all just harder. I have
Hmm.
noticed that any healing in general, like any cut or something, takes longer to ever like heal than it used to. Especially the
Yes.
last like 5 years that I've noticed this. Okay. So yeah, it's like you get a cold now, you're coughing for weeks on end after the damn cold. You
Hmm.
know, in the past it was like, 3, 4 days are done. Now I got a cold, I'm hacking for 2 more weeks after it's done. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, I mean, I guess it's not entirely done in that case, huh?
well, it's done in the
I
sense
know what
like
you
you're not
mean.
contagious. You are past the area where you're
You're
like
past the worst of it, but it lingers for
it
some.
lingers exactly. You get this lingering thing for a long time, and that's the thing. But honestly, I did. Um, I my sister in law, who's a doctor, before I went to surgery, she's the one that actually got my brother and my sister in law are the ones that got me the doctor that treated me because you know she had
Mm-hmm.
before the surgery she had given me certain supplements to take specifically to heal faster afterwards and to
Okay.
not get as swollen up, be as bad, right afterwards. And they seem to work. It seems to have helped because I know that I went to the doctor, and as a matter of fact, the checkup I did it. Uh, the first check I did about 4 or 5 days after I was out of the hospital, and he was like surprised. Wow, very little swelling. This is great. So yeah. He expected more swelling, and he was like, no, you're. This is really good. So yeah. But I was like, the first bit was very tiring. But Sam, what the fuck has been going on, for God's sakes? Look, I'm gone for 2 weeks. MTG quits. I don't know. Like Mom Dami and Trump are in the White House kissing each other or something. We've got stocks are going to hell. They're well, maybe not going to. They're all over the place. I don't understand what what the fuck?
This is what you get for leaving. It's all
Good
your fault.
God Almighty, probably. I'm gonna take probably. It might well be. I mean, yeah. May have to take some own it here for a little bit.
No, I mean, I was noticing as I was putting together like the notes that we have a channel on our Curmudgeon's Corner Slack for potential show topics, but right before the show, I copy it over into another document and make it a little neater and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And just the sheer number of things this last week in particular.
I mean, you were going.
I mean, usually in recent weeks, it's. Yeah, there have been a few things, but there hasn't been, this time, like I'm looking at, I added a couple movies and books, but we have the Epstein Files vote. We have MBS at the White House. We have the Quiet Piggy comment. We have Olivia Nuzzi.
Oh my God! Fucking Olivia. Oh my God, Olivia Nuzzi. Holy shit.
You put in something about the water at McDonald's. Who knows what that is? The Syrian president was at the White House.
McDonald's. It's simple. Well, yeah. But yes, there was something that happened with Trump and water at McDonald's. Yes.
Okay. I didn't even know it was Trump related. I thought you personally.
It was Trump related. No.
Okay. You would put in something about Trump's net approval ratings. We wanted an update on the UPS plane crash. I got that
development.
There have been developments on the Texas redistricting. There's been developments in the Comey case, Dick Cheney's funeral. There's a Ukrainian peace deal on the table that's being discussed. I had said in the context of that we should revisit what's happening in Gaza too. There's the Mom Downey Trump stuff you mentioned, and like just a couple hours before we started recording the show, there's this MTG resigning thing that follows on a rift between her and Trump that's been growing over the last few weeks. So, yeah, lots of stuff going on, and I'm sure I haven't even mentioned everything. This is just the things that one or the other of us put on the Curmudgeon's Corner Slack to say maybe we should talk about.
Jesus Christ. The fuck is going on, Sam?
So we got lots to talk about. Just to wrap it up though. Surgery successful. You're feeling better. Are you 100% yet, or like 80?
No, God, no. Listen, here's the thing. No, I am not. I'm still taking pain meds 3 times a day for it. It's gone down. It's gone down. But no, I still have some discomfort from the surgery. Right now, it's like 90+% down. First moment right after surgery that I woke up. Holy shit, was I in pain? And they gave me morphine, and I'm like, nurse, yeah, look, whatever you gave me, not enough. Give me more. Well, I got to check with the doctor. I don't give a shit what the hell he gave me. Whatever the fuck it is, not enough. I need more. Now.
More.
They gave me some. I don't know what the fuck it is they gave me, but that worked. Okay? I went in, injected me. one funny thing about this whole thing is my brother was there with me the whole day. He decided because my mom's older. She was taking care of me, helping me at the house. Okay, but at the hospital it's uncomfortable and stuff. My mom, she's 80. She's tired. My brother said, "Listen, Mom, stay over there at the house. Then my wife's, my sister-in-law, they're gonna go pick you up. You come over to the hospital later when he's out. I'll take him. I had to get to the hospital like at 6 in the morning. Okay. And by the way, the thing about the hospital is my sister-in-law's office is at that hospital, so it's at the same facility. So this was very easy. So one thing that happens is that I show up to get the pre-op. Oh, Mr. Bo, yes, I keep calling your wife's office all the time and talking to you, whatever. And I'm like, wait, no, I'm his brother. Gosh, but you guys look so much alike. I'm like, are you guys twins? No, we're not twins, okay? But listen, we look so much alike that my brother's Face ID on his phone has confused me with me.
Me with me?
I mean, me with him with me. I grabbed his
sure
phone and swiped the Face ID.
You sure they didn't operate on your brain?
No, they didn't get that yet. But that's later. But he went. I grabbed his phone, and his phone thought I was him. And I didn't realize. I swiped it up. I started using it. I realized, wait, it didn't ask me for the password. It's because usually, you grab like your wife's phone. You gotta get the passcode.
Put it
now it doesn't happen all the time, but it has confused me with him on various occasions. So that's how much we look alike. I went in the morning and he said, "No, your brother can't come in yet." So a nurse comes in and just asks, who am I looking for to bring over? Because there's another nurse. Look, just go out there. Look at the guy who just looks like me but with more gray hair. That's it. Below that's basically that's all it took. It just kept happening. We spent like so many days together. Everybody kept like, wait, who's what? I'm he's the brother. So he was there. He stayed with me the whole day at the hospital. So he brought his laptop. He had some work to do. He stayed there or whatever. He took care of me for the day. So that was good. So everything went fine. No problems.
Good.
Like right now, been working, been the first week and a half was hard, but this week's been a lot easier. The travel was not as bad as I expected. Thank God. So that was good.
You rode a bike back to Florida, right?
Yep. Rode a bike.
Figured.
No. Took an airplane. Thankfully, look, one of them happened to be. I actually planned this on purpose. There so American between Dallas and Miami on certain flights. They need to move an international aircraft between one of the other hubs. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's times that there's always a 777 that's flying between Miami and DFW, just a short flight. But look, I wanted to get that plane because because I get on a seat that was a bed.
Right.
Okay, which was I'm like, no, I don't want to be stuck for 3 hours sitting. I told you that I've been traveling like even in regular domestic first class, and I've been in pain. Okay.
Right.
And I'm just like, I want to, and so I looked, oh, wait, if I leave at this hour, I can get on a flight that's actually, has an international business class seat that's that I could lie down on. And, and because I always get upgraded on those flights, I always get, there's like 60 first class seats. You get a fucking upgrade. Okay. I got an upgrade very easily. Like we had my boss. So that way I knew that I was like, oh God, I was able to lay down on the flight down. And because air traffic control had been like, messy, getting out, we weren't majorly delayed, but it was slow. Okay. It was slow. getting from, and Dallas is a big airport. Just even getting to from you leave the gate and they tell you, yeah, the flight might be 2 hours and some minutes, but well, we're gonna wait 35 minutes for takeoff. I'm like, fuck, Jesus Christ, you know. Plus, you realize you put it all the time. First, boarding, you know, another half hour, 45 minutes, and then you got another half hour sitting in here. It turns into easy 3-4 hours sitting in a fucking place, and I'm like, not exactly, and I'm not feeling all that great. So try to avoid that. But anyway, but yeah, everything worked out.
Okay.
I'm alive.
Well, before we, I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad they didn't accidentally remove something they shouldn't have removed.
Hey, they marked,
like that.
you know, yeah, you know, that's the one thing. You know how they did this thing. They mark you, right? You know, so they mark.
Yes,
I
they ask you multiple times, why are you in here? Like my wife had her knee surgery just a few weeks before you had yours, your hernia surgery, and I was there for all the prep stuff, and like they ask over and over and over again, why are you
Which
here
still
again?
shocks me
Let's make
how
sure.
it happens that those errors still happen. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, because I heard of an error like that recently happening. I'm like stunned. How the hell could this still happen? Okay? And they even marked with permanent ink, okay, on my leg,
Right.
you know, on the side. This is the fucking side. This side, you know? I believe I did ask. First thing I asked when I woke up from anesthesia, and people knew exactly what I meant. Like I said, "Is he alive yet?"
Oh,
That was my first question.
is he
Unfortunately,
alive
they
yet?
said, and unfortunately, they told me yes. It would have been nice if I
still
could have
alive.
gone with let me tell you that anesthesia. I mean, fucking anesthesia. I mean, you know, it's amazing. I mean, I don't remember it. I mean, it's like boom, gone. All of a sudden, I just wake up. Boop! It's like,
Right.
oh, you know, it's like amazing. It's just gone. No drink, nothing. Just.
Yep.
And then I woke up.
That's the way you want it.
Yes.
You know, you don't, like, occasionally you hear about a story where somebody was accidentally, like, they were
Cutting them open
during the entire surgery.
Yes.
Like, unable to move or anything, but they were conscious. They knew what was going on. They felt everything. You do not want to be that person.
No. And Dr. Marquez is a wonderful doctor,
just to be clear, that's incredibly rare.
It's incredibly rare, but it has happened. Dr. Marquez, who treated me, wonderful doctor, by the way. Great guy. You know, one thing about it, he was also very reassuring, calming. You know, yeah, there's this thing, you know, he has this really, honestly, it's this very fatherly presence. He is, but you know, he must be in his 60s. He's been doing this for 35 years. It's very nice and reassuring to get a doctor. It makes you feel like all like comfortable. I gotta admit that doesn't suck, especially when they're gonna cut you open. So anyway. All right, enough of my fucking, you know.
So what I was going to say is, before we get to the serious stuff, like, the entire time you've been gone, there have been co-hosts, and they get to pick the topics, and none of them decided to ask me about my TV or movies or anything. Well, so that's been in suspended animation.
Okay.
And, you know, also,
so we need to catch up.
With me having, you know, less schedule obligations, I'm watching more shit anyway. So, like, I'm falling further and further behind. So, let's just knock out.
Let's knock some of them out.
Well, yeah, okay. So, I told you before you left that the very next one was going to be the TV show, The Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone that ran from 1959 to 1963.
You know, I have watched. I mean, I recently watched a few episodes, but I remember like back. I mean, I've watched a lot of the episodes. It's a good show.
It is a good show. I mean, there are 156 episodes total over the course of 5 seasons. Okay. Now, obviously, there are some episodes that are famous, that have gotten into the cultural zeitgeist, and like, even if you are not a Twilight Zone watcher, you may have been aware.
A Twilight Zoner.
Sort of way. Yes. Um, you know, and there, and you know, even describing some of these episodes, like the whole thing is, if you haven't seen them, there are usually some twists. There are usually some things that are surprising. So if you say, well, the one where blah blah blah, if you haven't seen it, you just gave it away. You know, not always. Some of them there's no real twist. It's just the whole thing is kind of eerie and weird and blah blah blah. In others, there's some sort of twist, but there's usually some sort of twist. I will say, um, the the episodes that are super famous for a reason.
Okay.
They're good. They're well done. They have you know, that sort of twist at the end that sort of gets you, or it's just saying something that's, you know, I don't want to say profound, but maybe a little profound. You know, and that there's a few of those. Um, but I'd say on if you look at the whole thing though, um, it's a little uneven. There are some episodes that aren't that great as well, you know, but on average, it's consistently pretty decent. There are only a few clankers in there, and even
Well,
the episodes
150
that
episodes. I mean, damn it, that's a lot of work.
that's
And
a
it's a
lot of
very
episodes.
and let me say, the thing is that the show is very creative. Okay?
Yes.
And so I can see how it had to occasionally have a misfire. I mean, because a lot
Yeah.
of other shows have, some themes like very recurring, like the same characters or whatever. But if you think about it, the Twilight Zone, they never really had the same cast of
Well,
characters. The stories were
it's
almost every single one originally
Well,
self-contained.
well, yes. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's an anthology series. Each episode is self-contained. There's no continuing story, no nothing
Right,
like that.
right.
It's just a different thing. Now, you do see some of the same actors and actresses come back,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're playing
yeah.
different people,
But
right?
exactly,
And and
right.
and I'd say, you know, of the 5 seasons, the one, and I will mention there's one episode that is not usually included. Like if you go online to the places that have all the episodes, there's one episode that was like a French short movie that was repurposed, that they licensed as a Twilight Zone episode,
Interesting.
but only for like the original airing. So if you want to be complete, you have to go find that French movie,
Interesting.
that French short movie, and it is available on YouTube, fairly low quality. But we were complete. We watched that one too. But no, I'd say the one place where they sort of went off. Okay, two things. One, you're right. There's a lot of originality there, but by the time you got to the end of the 5 seasons,
They're probably
there
running out of
were
ideas.
there you started seeing some things where this feels kind of familiar. Oh, they're looking at this town where something weird is going on, and the exact weird thing might be a little bit different, but it has the same
So
vibe.
yeah,
Or
I gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
or you know, they're landing on an alien planet and something weird is going on, and then there's something that happens as a twist, and it's, you know, it's not exactly the same as the previous episode, but it feels familiar. So that's
Well, if you
sort
think
of,
about it,
by the time,
sometimes I mean, yeah, I get it, and I mean, but yeah, but like I said, you need 150, and the originals were so original. At some point, you start like, okay, guys, what the fuck are we gonna
I,
write about now?
yeah. Now I will say the one place where I think they went wrong, and they realized it, and they went back the next season, was season 4.
Okay,
They for seasons 1 through 3, there were 20. The episodes were 25 minutes long.
okay,
For season 4, they made 51-minute episodes instead.
that got too
So
long.
it was stretched out. They were clearly filling the space, and it worked much better with the shorter episodes. The longer episodes, you sort of were like, and by the way, like I think like if you go for like what were the famous episodes that lots of people know about, those weren't the 51-minute episodes. You know, those were the nice short. You know, you're gonna have, you know, it moves quickly. It gets to the point. You have Rod Serling come up and make his little statements. That also were a critical
That's so
part of this
iconic.
series. Yeah, exactly. Season 4, they really did drag. It was just, for this kind of material, stretching it out to almost an hour was too much. And so for the 5th season, they went back to the 25-minute episodes. But overall, thumbs up for Twilight Zone. If you're at all into this kind of stuff, it's worth watching the original. I have on the list to check out. There've been 4 now. There was the original that ran from 1959 to 1964. Then there was the Twilight Zone movie, of course.
Yes.
And then you had 3 more TV series. They're all named The Twilight Zone. There was one from 1985 to 1989. There was one from 2002 to 2003. And the most recent was from 2019 to 2020.
I don't think I watched any of the newer ones. I did watch the Twilight Zone movie. That I definitely watched. It was controversial in and of itself. Not so much because
of the crash.
Because of the crash.
Yes. For anybody who doesn't remember, there's a helicopter crash. A bunch of the actors were killed. Etc.
Yeah. And
there was some controversy over exactly how that was laid out and safety and blah blah blah. I remember watching the 1980s version of Twilight Zone as well.
Okay.
I say I remember watching it. Do I remember any of the episodes? No.
So it was obviously not that good. I will say there was one episode. Listen, there is one episode of Twilight Zone that always, in my mind, has always stuck with me. That's the one that had Burgess Meredith. It was I looked it up. It was in season 2, episode 29. The Obsolete Man is the episode, where apparently I looked up the plot. In a future totalitarian state, Romney Wordsworth. Spoilers coming. Romney Wordsworth is put on trial for being obsolete. His professed occupation as a librarian is punishable by death, as the state has eliminated books. And that episode, well, I'm not going to go into the rest of the details because I think it was very interesting. It always stuck to my head how they, this entire thing.
When you mentioned Burgess Meredith, I thought you were going to go for Time Enough at Last, which is another episode that he's in that's very famous because of how it ends.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. No, we'll avoid more spoilers, but Burgess Meredith is very good in the Twilight Zone. He really did a great job in there, and so yeah. So he was. It was just you think about some of these where we're talking about how maybe they sounded like kind of off the wallish, but shit with stuff going on now, they don't sound so crazy after all now.
Well, and the thing too is that 1959 to 1960, what did I say? 4? Yeah, 1964.
Yeah.
59 to 64. That was a long time ago. But most of these episodes hold up really well.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
They hold up.
Laugh. I mean,
you can laugh at some of the special effects, and you can laugh at some of the stylized acting and things like that. But but for the most part, the thing that they're trying to get across, and the thing that sort of punches you at the end of each episode, still works.
It still works.
Many of these episodes.
Yeah,
there are a few that don't. Like I said, but on most of them, they're hitting some sort of timeless theme that still applies today. Now, some of them, there are a few that didn't last as well, especially the ones where they're talking about some technology thing that
sure,
whatever.
but the thing about
but for the most part,
there aren't that many shows that are that old that really they hold up as well as the Twilight Zone.
Right.
It's just it's a great show.
Yeah, thumbs up. Watch Twilight Zone. Most of it's I think it's on Paramount. So it's on Paramount Plus streaming.
Okay, there you go.
Except for those like 1 or 2 episodes with licensing issues, and if you hit one of those, you can find them on there.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find them. Just
all right.
use
So we
your
got
Google foo.
All right. So we got you got Twilight Zone. What else? What are we gonna hit?
Should I do one more?
Yes.
I'll do one more. One more. I mean, to really catch up, I'd need to do a whole bunch, but like one more is enough. Okay, the next one. Oh man, and I forgot to bring up the. This is an AFI list one, so let me bring it up. Sunset Boulevard from 1950, number 12 in the 1998 AFI 100 movies list, number 16 in the 2007 list. This is. I'll read the first couple paragraphs of the plot. The first 3 paragraphs. At a mansion on Sunset Boulevard, police officers and photographers discover the body of Joe Gillis floating face down in the swimming pool. In a flashback, Joe relates the events leading to his death. 6 months earlier, Joe, a down-on-his-luck screenwriter, tries to interest Paramount Pictures in a story he submitted. Script reader Betty Schaefer harshly critiques it, unaware that Joe is listening. Later, while fleeing from repo men seeking his car, Joe turns into the driveway of a seemingly deserted mansion inhabited by forgotten silent film star Norma Desmond. Learning that Joe is a writer, Norma asks his opinion of a script she has written for a film about Salome. She plans to play the role herself in her return to the screen. Joe finds her script abysmal, but flatters her into hiring him as a script doctor. Joe moves into Norma's mansion at her insistence and sees that Norma refuses to believe that her fame has evaporated. Her butler Max secretly writes all of the fan mail she receives to maintain the illusion. At her New Year's Eve party, Joe realizes that she has fallen in love with him. He tries to let her down gently, but Norma slaps him and retreats to her room, distraught. Joe visits his friend Artie Green and again meets Betty, who thinks a scene in one of Joe's scripts has potential. When he phones Max to have him pack his things, Max tells him Norma has cut her wrists with his razor. Joe then returns to Norma, and their relationship becomes sexual. ... It continues. The two of them sort of circle. They have a relationship. It becomes clear that that she is more and more delusional as time goes on, and you deal with all the aftermath of it. No spoilers for the exact ending, but the last line of the movie is iconic. She comes up to the camera and goes, "All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up," and approaches the camera and comes straight into her face. It was good. Thumbs up. I can see why it's up there. Again, for a movie of its time, I say this repeatedly whenever we're talking about 40s or 50s movies, it is stylized. It is not super realistic. You know, the characters are sort of caricatures, but it's okay. You get the point across, and you understand what's happening, and you get caught up in the drama of it, and this sort of tragedy of what happens. It's Wikipedia says it's a dark comedy film noir, it's good. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's but it does what it's supposed to do, I guess. And you do have a few things like they're you know, the last line is about Cecil B. DeMille. He plays himself in this movie. There are a bunch of other people that play themselves. H.B. Warner of Warner Brothers plays himself.
There you go.
Buster Keaton played himself. There are a few others, sort of famous actors and directors who show up, playing themselves. It's good. I mean, it's sort of obviously it's a Hollywood movie about Hollywood, and it's very self-referential. But that's okay. Um, you know, it was good. I like it. It went well. As Gloria Swanson was Norma Desmond. That's another name that might be recognizable. William Holden played Joe Gillis. Another name that recognizable. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Who else? Jack Webb was in it.
Okay.
Those are the big names I see here, other than the people playing themselves. So yeah, have you ever seen this movie?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
It's definitely, look, if you like 40s and 50s movies, this is a good example of 40s and 50s movies. If the second it shows up in black and white and with the stylized characters that are caricatures, you get turned off, then you're not going to like this either. But, there you go. That's all I got to say about that.
All right.
Shall we take a break and then start, like, I don't know, picking a few of these many things that we listed at the beginning of the show that happened?
Many wonderful things.
Wonderful. Yeah, okay. Maybe some of them were wonderful.
Many,
some of
many.
them less so. Okay. Let's hit the break. Here we go.
Okie dokie. Here it comes. It is just my internet being stupid.
My internet is being stupid. It's a new song we will make.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Oh, I'm tired. What's wrong? I'm really tired.
It's amazing.
Get the show on the road.
There's a road? There's a road? Oh my god, there's a road!
And we're back.
And we're back.
So, where do you want to start?
I'm trying to look through this list of shit.
Do we want to just try to lightning round this and like?
No, I think we
jump
need to
out
lightning
or
round
do we want
it.
to like concentrate on a couple of big things?
No. Let's lightning round this. I think. Okay, I'm going to start with one thing because it's a little bit older subject, but I couldn't talk about it. The UPS plane crash. Yeah.
Yes.
NTSB came out already pretty quickly with a report confirming what some of the initial reports showed. A whole bunch of people just saying stupid things, but bottom line is that before the preliminary NTSB report, which confirmed what basically most people speculated. I mean let me change that. People that knew what about their shit speculated. Okay. So UPS flies MD-11s and DC-10s. So does FedEx. They're big. Good for cargo carrying. Okay. They've been converted. They've been retrofitted. These aircraft have been heavily maintained and updated over time. The DC-10 originally had, in the first decade, had a series of accidents that made people be afraid of flying it at first. Most of the accidents were related to cargo door related issues. Those were the big ones that happened at first, where the design of the cargo door failed on a couple of occasions, bringing down, in one case, it almost brought down the plane. Another one, it killed everybody. And then a big one that is actually there was a Sioux City accident where an engine blade failed. The engine motor failed. The fan blade failed. It was discovered that it was a crack in it that was undetected, and that's why it failed. And that's something that actually, by the way, happened with other aircraft, and the inspection process on those changed over time in order to be able to detect those. So the inspection process was better to be able to detect that. But this accident goes back to something that happened with American Airlines flight in 1979 in Chicago, which is a major accident. It's one of the biggest aviation accidents that ever happened. It was a DC-10 American Airlines taking off in O'Hare. It lost an engine. When it lost the engine, the airplane very quickly veered off and crashed, and there were no survivors on that flight. And it was found to be that American Airlines at the time, to do maintenance on the engines, had not been following the book procedure exactly to remove those engines and reattach them back to the airplane for an inspection. Okay, you were supposed to take the engine off, and then the pylons that attach, then you remove that from the wing. Okay, because there's pylons, there are these screws. There's the system that hold it. You see the little pylon, this thing that sticks out, and you see that's holding the damn engine. Okay, and then the engine's attached below it. You're supposed to take the engine off of it and then remove the pylon. American had been removing everything from in one piece from the wing. What happened was that was stressing where the engine and the pylon met, was causing a lot of stress. It fatigued it. The people didn't know that they were doing that, and that's why when that engine separated, and at the point that it separated, which is the problem, it caused well, that also uncovered a whole bunch of other things that happened, because it made that if I remember, the slats retracted, which reduced lift. So there was a loss of control. There was a loss of lift on that wing, and it made the plane uncontrollable. And it happened at a moment when it was right at takeoff and crashed the plane. Well, in this case, and the pictures, the video kind of showed it, that the plane was rolling normally. And then at the moment of takeoff, right after it reached the point of no return, because there's a reference speed called V1. Once you hit V1, it's a speed usually. So if you take off, say, at 150 knots, V1 is usually about 120 knots. And that's a speed that after that, you can't reject the takeoff. You're too far in. You're better off taking off. Okay? So they were well past V1. They were, as a matter of fact, when this happened, the plane was at V2 speed, which is the speed at which you rotate. You go and you take off. The plane was rotating. As the plane rotated, the left engine just all of a sudden became unattached. And because of the motion of the engine, it's why it unattached in the direction where it turned up, because of the pushing from the air coming from under it, pushed it up, and the rotation of the engine made it that it went over the damn MD-11. It flew over it and fell on the right side of the plane. The way that it detached, it caused a massive fire immediately. And debris from that engine hit the number 2 engine, the tail engine, the one at the top. So they were screwed. It's not like this happened early enough where they could reject the takeoff. They were rotating to take off. The damn engine came off. It damaged another engine. They were done. There's nothing that they could do. Analysis, like right now, came back and discovered that there were undiscovered cracks in the engine pylon, that it had been developing cracks. That plane had been in a heavy maintenance recently ago, a couple of months ago. So for some reason, they went undetected. Either they went undetected or something happened when they reattached it that caused it to crack. Bottom line is they grounded the entire fleet until they could figure out why the hell that damn thing cracked. But these aircraft they're taken care of very well. UPS has a great reputation of maintenance. Okay, they don't skimp on shit. So whatever the hell it is that happened, it's happened because they didn't know is something that for some reason went undetected. Either there was or they could have been a flaw in that pylon specifically, and the inspection process is not catching it. But it definitely. Another thing that came up is that apparently during the takeoff roll, some master caution alarm went off. Not sure exactly at what moment, but it's very likely that it probably happened after the speed that they could reject the takeoff. The reality is, if they're rolling, they get that master caution. They're looking at all their dials. Everything looks normal. The procedure you're taught is, listen, which is the one that in 99% of the cases works, because having an engine fail on takeoff or something like that is not something that a pilot, it's not routine, but it's something that a pilot expects to happen and trains for. And the way what you do is that you take off, you will go around, you'll dump some fuel, you'll come back, and you'll land again. Because the plane is designed to be able to take off with a failed engine, okay? It should be able to without a problem. So it's not like, there was no reason to stop a takeoff, and the safer thing to do is to do that. We've seen pilots try to reject takeoffs late. Man, listen, you're going to overrun the runway. You're going to crash into shit, okay? So that's not an option, okay? Once you reach that moment, the reason you do the math on this in order, what is the takeoff speed at what time you go, is because once you get there, if you try to stop, you will not stop. You're going to go off the end of the runway and crash. Okay, so you're safer going up, but they don't. Why that fatigued and failed? It's up to now figure that out. But the reality is that in terms of general passengers being concerned about anything, look, no passengers don't fly in MD-11s anymore. Nobody's flying an MD-11.
Aren't they doing a check of that entire fleet for similar problems? Because it isn't one concern. It's just plain age, and the inspections weren't finding the type of cracks that we're probably developing here.
Probably.
So they might need
so
better
the one thing
inspections to keep these things running.
Yeah. That is probably it. But look, there's a lot of old airplanes flying out there, man. There's so many old planes flying. I will say that the MD-11s, DC-10s that are flying out there are some of the oldest that are out there. Now, I will say that I know that FedEx retired. They had these the DC-10s, which they converted. They called them MD-10s, and what they did is they took the old DC-10s that required three. They required three crew members. They required a pilot, co-pilot, and engineer. They had converted those so you could operate them with only two. Replaced the whole glass cockpit. All the avionics got replaced with modern stuff. A lot of upgrades happened to these planes. For cargo airlines to take a plane like that has that kind of capacity and spend money is worth it, because look, a brand new 777F, okay, brand new freighter similar to that costs $200 million. Okay. It's not cheap, okay? You can take a 30, 40-year-old MD-11, okay, that used you could probably get for just a couple of $1 million. Even if you spend $10 million, refitting this thing, modern, whatever, man, it's a much better proposition than spending right now $200 million if you can still milk some life out of that airframe, okay? So, the oldest ones of these had been retired, which are the MD-10s, the ones that were DC-10s, converted to that. I know FedEx retired them. I don't think that even UPS flies any of them, but FedEx retired them. The MD-11s are a lot newer. MD-11s started flying in the 90s. These are not as old as that. 35 years. Well, 35 years. They're old, but they're not as old as the I mean, I remember seeing an MD-10 that landed when I was plane spotting like a couple of years ago. That was like 40 plus years old, some shit like that. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's really old. And look, our strategic air command. We're flying B-52s that were built in the 1950s, for God's sakes. Okay,
Right.
Age isn't really that big an issue.
Well, you have this whole ship of Theseus effect, right? When you're basically replacing every part of the plane over time.
Absolutely. The fucking thing is barely original. There's almost nothing of original left on the damn airplane. Yeah.
Right.
So, but I felt, the one thing is that, I just felt kind of like, I saw it and I saw what happened. I was just like, fuck, these pilots, what a helpless moment. Because usually you're a pilot, you think, look, we can do something to save this plane. We'll do something, right? And there was nothing they could do. They had no shot. They had no way to save that plane. It happened. It's just one of those things when it happens at the wrong thing at the wrong moment. Happened exactly with the wrong fucking moment that just left them with no way to do anything to save the aircraft.
Which also, in this case, there were a lot of people killed and hurt on the ground as well.
Most of them that were killed wound up being on the ground.
Because
only 3 people. There were only 3 people on the plane. Yeah. Look, thank God it didn't hit because there is a Ford Motor auto plant right by there where apparently a few thousand people worked every day. Thank God it didn't hit that. But it's not exactly on the flight path, thank God, which I guess is a good thing. But look, I mean, we've had planes fly over populated areas regularly. It's a risk. It happens. Still never, one of the worst that I always remember that was with a cargo plane, an El Al 747 that hit a frickin' they had a problem after takeoff. It was trying to return to Schiphol, and it hit a fucking apartment building. Sliced it in half. I mean, you want to talk about the worst, one of your worst fucking nightmares, to have a 747 slam into a fucking apartment building, of all things. It's just unfortunately one of those things. But luckily, they don't happen very often, thank God. Okay? A lot of work goes into making sure that doesn't happen. But these guys had no shot, unfortunately. What happened was totally unexpected, and they're right now. Yeah, we know what happened, just not why. And so until they figure it out, and I think Boeing, by the way, right now is being very because of all the shit that's happened with Boeing the last couple of years. They've been like, yep, whatever the NTSB says, we're not even arguing.
Just to be clear, even though it's an MD for McDonnell Douglas, they were bought by Boeing a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, Boeing and McDonnell Douglas merged like, what the heck was it, 25, 26 years ago, almost 30 years ago. So yeah, so these are all, they're maybe McDonnell Douglas, but Boeing owns McDonnell Douglas. So that's all that on them now, so. Right. I flew on the DC-10 a lot. I liked it. It's big. It felt very spacious inside. I don't know. I always liked just here's the thing. Airlines used to fly a lot more of these wide bodies on domestic flights. Okay, back then. 70s and 80s. They thought that was the way. They had a whole bunch of these. And I remember being able to fly a freaking, more ordinary like flights, that now you get a 737 on a DC-10, and it was awesome. I like that. It's huge. But I remember they used to have on American Airlines for a few years, back in the 80s, they had this camera that was in the cockpit that would on the televisions inside the plane would show the departure, would show live video of the departure and takeoff, which
Right.
they turned off after there was an accident that happened. It wound up like people, I guess, were watching the accident thing. They were like, I guess let's just not turn those on.
Yeah, I mean, now you have those little displays with the map and stuff. But yeah, I the cameras are cool. I mean,
The
I
cameras are cool.
understand.
Airbus actually does a lot more where they actually put this camera view that I find that's really cool. That's at the top of the stabilizer wing, right at the top. So you get this view like a video game view of the plane as it's flying, and that view is super cool. And you can usually select that in the planes that have that on the entertainment screen. You can pick to watch that view. You can see the takeoff and landing and everything of the plane. That view is super cool. Okay, I gotta tell you that is a super cool view. So if you get on an Airbus A380s, A330s, A340s, they usually have that. If you get on one of those, make sure to pick that view. You will not regret it. You'll love it.
Okay,
Let's move on.
shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay, let me hit these in order. I'm not even. We've got things we haven't talked about in previous weeks besides the UPS crash, but let's just stick with this week. We had the vote on the Epstein files, and it was nearly unanimous. It was unanimous in the Senate. It was nearly unanimous in the House. I think there was one person who voted against it, and
I thought
because
it was like, so it was nearly unanimous. Okay, all right.
yeah, I think in the
Yeah,
end
you're
there was
right. Yeah,
one-
you're right. It was like 400 something. Yeah.
Yeah, to one. And apparently there's some back and forth, like, did he really mean it, or was it an accident, or what was going on? But yeah, whatever. Anyway, bottom line, it was nearly unanimous in the House, and it was actually passed by unanimous consent in the Senate. And look, the deal was that it was clear that they had the numbers, and it would pass in the House by a very significant margin. So Trump, a few days before the vote, just went, I don't care. Vote for it. I'll sign it. I'm for this. Go ahead. And clearly he was not actually happy about it, but he was in a position where he was going to get absolutely rolled anyway. Like if he continued his opposition of it, he was still going to lose badly. So he flipped it up and was like, okay, no, I'm for it. And as soon as he said that, all the Republicans were on board, and so.
But
so
it's just it. But Sam, this is just going to expose the Democrat pedophile ring, right?
Oh yes. This is only the Democrats. Look, here are a couple things with this that people are talking about now that it's passed. First of all, like when this first started being discussed, I had at one point said on the show that I thought they were just doing a resolution with no legal force. No. This was an actual law saying you must release this, etc. However, there are a bunch of caveats and exceptions. And first of all, they give 30 days for the release. Second, ongoing anything that would affect ongoing investigations is exempt. Also, of course, there's instructions to redact anything about the victims, which you would expect anyway. A bunch of other things. The biggest thing here is that it gives the ongoing investigation situation. The Trump administration's official line up until about a week and a half ago was, we've already examined all this fully. There's no potential other cases to examine. There's no evidence here of that there was that he was blackmailing people. There's no other people that we have the evidence to bring to trial, etc. Which who knows, may be true, may not be true, who knows, but that was the line they had. But then as it became clear that they were going to lose and this thing was going to pass, all of a sudden Donald Trump is, okay, you're going to open an investigation into all the Democrats. And Bondi was like, yes,
And
sir. Yes, I
only
will."
the Democrats.
And only the Democrats. Yes. And so now there's the potential that after the 30 days are up, they'll do something like, well, we can't release most of this because it's pertinent to our ongoing investigation of the Democrats.
I fully expect right now for Bondi to do the same thing that she did in February.
Give out the empty folders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, people have said, one possibility that comes out of this is a whole bunch of pages of stuff that is almost 100% redacted gets released.
Right.
And I guess part of the calculus here is, look, this ended up with massive bipartisan support for transparency and release the files. You got things coming out of this with basically the Republicans went back to their districts over the long government shutdown break, and they heard from their constituents, their ruby red MAGA constituents, release the files. And a big part of that is because they want to get that Democratic pedophile ring. And they felt like that's one of the main reasons they were into this thing from the beginning.
Right.
Is because they thought Donald Trump would get the Democratic pedophile ring.
Right.
And so what the hell is happening? Release the files and get those folks. And they heard that over and over and over from their constituents. So the question is, if they do try to stonewall and say, well, we can't actually release all of it, or what we can release is,
we'll release 3 pages.
Yeah.
And 90% is covered in black.
Yeah. The MAGA base is not going to react well to that.
No. But they aren't
and
reacting well to it right now. They're reacting. Listen, there are so many MAGA people that I keep seeing disappointed, defrauded. Fuck. I mean, it goes even to the whole MTG just quit, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll talk about her more.
Yeah,
later,
but my point is that what you keep hearing is complete, utter disappointment.
Right.
They are just complete. And there was an article on Epstein's emails. I think it was November 13th. Okay. And they did this thing where they were like mapping. This is in the New York Times. They were mapping the name mentions in his emails, the ones that they got.
Right. Yes.
And it showed that basically when you looked at names that were mentioned in Epstein's emails, it was like fucking Trump was like overwhelmingly, mentioned in the message.
The one thing I have to say about this is that if you look, the chart showed mentions over time as well.
Yes.
And what happened is before 2015, there were sporadic mentions of Trump and lots of mentions of other people. Starting 2015 and accelerating into 2016, 17, 18, suddenly the mentions of Trump exploded.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Well, he was running for president.
He was running for president, and then he was president. I mean, our mentions of Donald Trump on this show exploded dramatically in 2015 as well.
No, I get that.
And like a lot of the conversations seemed to be around. It wasn't just like, oh, we're talking more about Donald Trump because he's more involved. It was, we're talking about Donald Trump because he's president. Now, there was an undertone of, and we've got shit on Donald Trump.
That's what I'm talking about. Because the entire undertone of all of those was that we've got the goods on this bastard.
Right. But the emails that we've seen so far don't actually have the goods. They just
but they talk about it.
Yes.
Well, I'm
and that's of course why there's the push to release everything, because this is just the emails that were released by the Epstein estate.
All right.
What the FBI has theoretically is everything they got by raiding this guy's house, which there's been inventories of them that have been published where there's lots of like video
Sam,
recordings.
let me ask you a
there's
question.
lots of logs. There's lots of this. There's lots of that.
I fully expect that they will stonewall even further. Now, the one thing about all this stonewalling, Sam, I mean, Sam, I've never seen anybody look more guilty in my life and afraid of something
Yes.
coming out than Donald Trump with these Epstein files. Because what in all fucking hell, if he didn't think that Epstein had him by the balls, and apparently could be literally here, why would he be stonewalling this much of it? You know, it's like, let me give you my personal example, okay? You know, I was over here when I was president of the condo board, and all these people started accusing that supposedly, you know, a whole bunch of people were upset because of a project, and they said that I was on the take, that I was taking money under the table. My whole thing was, here, take the presidency, take all the records. Here are all the records. Here's everything. Go through it. Knock yourself out. Tell me what you find. You're fucking smoking gun. Go through everything. Here's everything. Let me know.
Right.
That's what you do when you're confident that you never did anything. That's exactly what you do. You know? You just turn over everything. You're like, here, knock yourself out. You know? Plus, in an investigation specifically, you know, if you get a subpoena for something, like many times, if they discover some ancillary stuff, but they're looking for X, they can't, they can't use that, okay? Except in very rare cases, okay? They can't, you can't just go, it's not a fishing expedition, okay? Right. You're looking for records.
Looking for specific things.
Exactly. You're looking for it that ties this to that. You know, you find the other stuff, too bad. Okay? You didn't have probable cause to look for it, you can't use it and so forth. But this, I've never seen anybody ever act more guilty than Donald Trump. And scared.
Right. I mean, that's the whole theme here, and also I'm going to use the word cover up. The cover up here has been so blatant and so obvious that they've been doing everything they possibly can to avoid this stuff coming out, that it's become obvious even to the MAGA faithful.
Right.
You know, who
to a large number of them.
Who are looking for every possible excuse to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. Even they are scratching their heads and going, what's he doing here?
Right.
You know, and if we go through these 30 days and then, as everybody seems to expect, there's more stonewalling, there's more obfuscation, there's more, you know, hey, we're going to release stuff, but it's all redacted. Oh, look. You see all the Democratic names, but no Republican names. If you see all the, it's all just going to make them look even worse.
Yep.
And of course you also have, by the way, you still have all these people on the right going, well, how would you feel if Bill Clinton's in there? Fuck him.
Yeah.
You know?
So he's in there, like, and that's, you know, and that's always the guilty hypocrite line, which I always love. So what if, you know, or the guilty hypocrite guy in a cult line? What if your guy is in there? Well, I'm not in a fucking cult, so if my guy's in there and he's guilty, fucking send him to jail, asshole. I'm not in a cult. You are.
Yes, exactly. And we keep hearing, like, I don't know. We keep hearing more things. We talked on last week's show about the whole thing about Bubba
Oh my God.
The latest I heard from apparently a
Well, it's
a
not
British-
Bill Clinton, and it's not a horse, apparently. So what's the latest?
Yeah, it's apparently no, not about Bubba. The latest thing I heard, there's a British reporter saying he had a story that he was going to use for his book or something years ago, but the publisher wouldn't go with it. But now he's talking about it. Was apparently he has plenty of evidence that.
Yeah. What?
It's just another interesting thing. That
Plenty of evidence that
a previous girlfriend of Epstein's, in addition to Ghislaine, was Melania before she got traded to Trump.
The fuck?
Now, I have not seen this confirmed by anybody else, but it was in like one of the British newspapers.
Holy shit.
And apparently there are quotes in the email about some other one that Epstein was done with, and he said, so I gave her to Trump.
Yeah.
But apparently that may have happened with Melania as well.
Fucking hell.
Now, Melania wasn't, 13 at the time, but still. Anyway,
what this way.
And by the way, like I said, I've heard one reporter talk about this. I haven't seen it confirmed, so it may be bullshit. So I just want to say that
this whole theme of talking about women like they're property, okay, is so prevalent amongst the right wing male.
Which
okay,
and by the way, publicly too. I mean, Donald Trump was talking about how Epstein stole his staff from Mar-a-Lago just a few weeks ago.
No, but I was thinking the other day, Jesse. I don't know why the fuck I watched a clip of Jesse Waters. Okay, all right.
Okay.
I
think I saw this. Go ahead.
He is such a pig of a man. There was some discussion related to podcasts, and some podcast that was first where there was a discussion. I can't remember exactly. It's somebody famous, and he started talking to. These are the women that are on the show with him. Okay, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And he started talking to them like it was just the most disrespectful way to talk about a woman or to talk to a woman that I ever see. And I'm like thinking, holy fucking hell, how are these women sitting at that desk working with this man? And not, I mean, because if I would have been in there, I would have fucking, I mean, I might have punched him in the face, okay? Because he was that disrespectful. But I realize that this passes as, whatever fucking dumbass show at 5 o'clock in the afternoon they put on Fox as normal. This is the way you talk to women. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, holy shit. And it's just this whole entire continuum of how all of these people, like the Charlie Kirks and all of these people, talk about and treat women.
Well, and I think part of it is right wing. I think part of the culture that we're talking about, like it specifically in Epstein circles, are these.
Oh God.
Not only like many of them right wing, not all of them, but like mostly rich white men, right?
Yeah.
That are just absolutely entitled and feel that they are owed everything. And if they want something, they should get it. Period.
Well, let's be clear.
And
it's not just the rich guys. Look, there's a reason why we have all these incels, okay? The incels believe that they are entitled to fucking sex and the women are denying it to them, but they're not the rich billionaires that can just buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got this generation. Yes, you've got of the rich guys that do this, but then you've got the other guys that don't have that money who believe they're entitled to it anyway.
Yes, it's disastrous. But I think what you're seeing, and I don't know. I honestly hope that we at some point actually get a fairly good view of these files, because I think you are going to find that, there were probably dozens of these rich, influential men who participated directly. And then you've probably got hundreds of people that were around and surrounding and knew what was going on and just shrugged and did nothing and allowed it to happen.
Fuck. Yeah. And that's a lot of what you've got. Yeah. Oh, man. I This is not going away anytime soon, Sam. They've tried to make it go away. And what they've made it is, maybe it's subdued for a little bit. And then every time it comes back worse.
Right. I mean, if you remember, we were talking about like this stuff back in 2016.
Yeah.
Before Donald Trump was elected the goddamn first time.
But it wasn't Epstein directly. It was about his rape.
Wasn't
It was
Epstein.
about yeah.
Well, I mean, if you remember that one woman who was putting the lawsuit that said she was raped by Donald Trump when she was 13, it was Epstein and Trump.
Right.
That was in that case, and then she withdrew the case because she was getting death threats, and. Look, and so we have heard this, and there were, there are interviews. There was, recently within the last few weeks, somebody reposted an audio interview with that woman, and I had remembered the case. I had not remembered hearing the audio of her deposition before.
Okay.
And it was absolutely explicit and going into all this detail, and it's. And it was out in 2016. It was out there, and it was mostly ignored. And there were other examples. There were people who in various other contexts talked about, Donald's exploits and all the things he'd done. And, we had, what was it? Like nearly 20 women who explicitly came out and accused him of assault before the 2016 election.
But those were, I remember those were adults, okay? All right, that I remember that they were adults.
With the exception of the 13-year-old, those were adults.
Now there's the next level.
Yes. But no, there were even like some interviews out there talking about Donald Trump with underage people, even back then. We talked. We had heard the stuff about him walking into the beauty pageants with the teenage girls undressed and all this other stuff. Yeah. And collectively, enough Americans didn't give a shit that he became president.
And
twice now. So, but I think you're right. It's not going away.
Well, the thing is that a big portion of the MAGA contingent believed that all of that was BS, but that the Democrats were running a pedophile ring out of a pizza joint in Washington, D.C.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
It's amazing how they will ignore the factually documented shit right in front of their face, but will go through every contortion to try to make up some alternate reality that fits their story.
Indeed. Okay. Your turn.
Another half.
Shall we take a break and do another two, since we've taken this much time?
Sure.
Or do you want to do two more?
No. Well, yeah, no, go. Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay. Okay, here comes a break. Okay,
All right.
we're back. So let's do two more, another break, then two more, then be done.
Comey. Hey, how's that case going? It is look, is Lindsay Halligan apparently a crack attorney? She seems to be really good, right? She did everything by the book. Right?
Yes, of course. She's crushing it. I mean, the case hasn't been dismissed yet, but it seems like every other day they find something else wrong with it. Like, we know that they were, they're trying to dismiss it on the grounds that she was appointed inappropriately. They're trying to dismiss it on the grounds that this is selective prosecution. Both of those are in play because it looks clear that both of those things are true. She was not appointed legally, and so therefore anything she did is probably void. And there's lots of clear evidence that there are lots of similar cases out there that they're not going after. And Donald Trump specifically called for this, and it's like, selective prosecution is apparently really, really, really hard to prove. But like in this case, you've got a lot of the key players basically saying so out loud that that's what they're doing.
Right.
And then the latest thing is apparently they neglected to actually pass the final version of the indictment past the grand jury.
Right.
Like what happened was they gave a copy of the indictment with 3 counts to the grand jury. The grand jury said no to one of the 3 counts. But what you're supposed to do apparently is then resubmit the indictment with only the 2 counts and have them vote on that.
But I also thought that they made changes to the other 2, to one of the other 2 counts as well, on top of the fact that they fucking resubmitted it. So therefore, it's like, whatever, you didn't present the fucking charges back to the grand jury to approve.
That appears to be the case. And so they basically just treated it as, oh, well, on the first time around, they voted no for this one, but yes on these 2. So therefore, we can just go ahead and submit the one with these 2, and it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. They didn't follow the procedures, which, by the way, this is also why, if you remember, when this was first submitted to the judge, they accidentally submitted the one with 3.
Right.
As well as the one with 2. And the judge was like, what the hell is this? Why do I have 2? And why are they different?
Right.
Well, and apparently this is why. And so the final version of the indictment was not actually approved by the grand jury. Apparently it was signed off on by the foreman, but that's not what you're supposed to do. You need the whole grand jury to vote on the actual indictment that's being presented. And apparently that didn't happen. So this just adds yet another layer of the things that they've done wrong on this. And by the way, a whole bunch of these, the first 2 that I mentioned also apply to the Letitia James case. The last one was specific to the Comey case. But also there's some additional questions about who was actually present when in the grand jury, and whether there was a gap in the transcripts that it wasn't supposed to be there of what happened to the grand jury. There are a couple of incidents they've mentioned where apparently whoever was talking, whether it was what's her name or somebody else, actually misrepresented the law in a certain case.
That's right. I also saw that. Yes, that they actually misrepresented the law as well. Yes.
And then there's one place where they said, now, don't worry if you don't see all the evidence in what we're showing you. Trust us, we have a lot more than we're showing you.
That's all. No. That's all another no.
So, yes, thing after thing after thing after thing that they're doing wrong. These things are going to get dismissed. They will not make it to trial. And,
it's amazing,
and frankly, they will be lucky, if they don't come out of this without losing their bar licenses.
I don't think they're going to be that lucky, Sam. Look, almost every lawyer that Trump has forced to do shit like this has wound up being disbarred.
There has been a long trail of those. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, these people, like somebody said, that they have decided that to go to be at the altar of Trump, they've decided to just go and like basically just burn their fucking bar license in service of Trump, and you know they're gonna wind up like, you know, what's his name, fucking Giuliani.
Yes, one of many. But yes, Giuliani is one of
Where
those.
all his assets are being auctioned, where everybody is after him, where he is just completely, living a, he's not destitute as far as I can tell, but he's not living it up as he used to be. That's for damn sure. He
Well,
is under
and
siege.
he is
It
perhaps
totally, and
the
it's
most.
all.
He is perhaps the most dramatic fall from grace of all of these people, because he was America's mayor and all this after 9/11, and and then over the course of time since then, by hooking his star to Donald Trump, he's completely destroyed his reputation.
Yep.
Hell, even among MAGA people, like they don't have a high opinion of Rudy Giuliani at this point.
No.
Because
No.
he's proven himself to be an utter clown.
Yep.
And part of this, I think part of this is age related, to be honest, with Giuliani as well. Like, he does not have the same faculties he did a couple decades ago, but also it's just like
he's just
he's
fucking
just an asshole.
He's just another grifter, like all of these are.
Yeah.
They're all the same. It's so fucked up. It's all the same shit. He thought that he could make. He was a partner at a major law firm, making millions of dollars for basically doing jack shit, nothing, just putting his name on their fucking roster of attorneys. It lifted prestige. That's it. And for that, he made $4 million, $5 million a year. He burned that to the ground. For what? He made millions of consulting and whatever. Now he's just nope. Who's gonna hire? No, nobody hires him.
No.
But Trump did pardon him, I guess. Right? Finally, Trump did finally pardon him. I thought I heard that recently. Yeah, I thought that recently.
Look it up. I hadn't heard that.
Well,
most of his stuff is civil anyway. It's not like
no. But no. Obviously, that can't discharge that. But yeah, on November 10th, Trump pardons Rudy Giuliani and other key figures allegedly. So he decided involved to overturn the 2020 election. So he did give him a pardon, but of course that doesn't help him with the financial issues. But he finally gave him a pardon.
Was he actually
Sidney Powell?
Was he
John
under
Eastman?
any federal? Are these preemptive, or was he actually?
I think it may have been preemptive. Well, he had been under investigation in the past. He wasn't under indictment, but I guess he gave him one of these preemptive pardons.
Well, and I know there were various state efforts that included him, but that's
but that doesn't. Yeah. So
okay.
So yeah. So he did do that for him. Gave him a pardon. Doesn't really help that much because he didn't really have any federal charges, but
Okay. We were talking about Comey, right?
Yeah.
So,
but it's this whole thing. But the whole thing is, again, it goes back. The reason I mentioned Giuliani is because all these people keep shredding a bar license to go and do Trump's bidding, and Lindsey Halligan and whoever the hell. So the people are going to be are up the bat. They're going to shred their bar licenses.
Another example that I don't think is going to last long, but it was just reported in the last 48 hours that another portion of the DOJ was actually investigating the folks that were going after all these people for mortgage fraud, for having improperly brought on board people to the investigations who weren't authorized to do so.
Yeah.
Now, I suspect, this is some career person in the DOJ who's trying to actually do their job the way it used to, the way it was supposed to be done, right?
And
Where
they're
you
gonna
just
be
follow
that's
the-
they're, right. We're gonna just end that following the law. That ends now. As
they
soon as
will
we
be
find out
fired.
about it.
I'm surprised they have not already been fired. They will be gone. These investigations will be over, because the thing that's absolutely clear is the Trump DOJ is intended to operate under his direct command to go after the people he wants to have gone after.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
End of story.
That's
and they should, anytime they're going after somebody that Trump actually likes, those people are getting fired, regardless
Basically.
of whether the thing they're going after has any merit or not.
Yeah, that
is
doesn't
not
matter.
part of the equation.
That has no bearing on it.
So, yeah, okay. Anything else on this, or it's my turn now?
It's your turn now.
Okay. Let's talk about this Ukrainian peace deal thing.
Oh, come on, man. The Ukrainian peace deal. What? Another fucking joke? I mean, all of these are a joke. There is no peace deal. This is a Ukrainian capitulation document.
Essentially, yes. I
Yeah.
mean, the key elements.
There's no
now, the one
deal.
thing the one thing I will say for it is it does include one element that you and I have said might be part of any ceasefire, which is the Russians have agreed that the territorial concessions to Russia will just recognize the facts on the ground and not the legal claim, so that it says we'll freeze the lines of combat.
The lines of combat where they are. Right.
And any further discussion of this has to happen through diplomatic means, not through force. But it doesn't require the Ukrainians to give up their claim to that territory. That's the one thing that I can say is a slight concession, because the Russians previously had wanted the Ukrainians to outright just give them the territory.
But come on, man. Look, we've had this thing with
out of,
Crimea.
like,
they've occupied Crimea for like
points.
a decade, and
Yes.
like that's not like that is I mean, the Russians are not going to give up anything back like that once they have it. So it's just whatever.
But look,
there were a couple of other things that were positive. Look, there was this one part where apparently the deal had something where Russian assets that were foreign could be given to Ukraine in order for them to rebuild. There was like a substantial amount of money discussed in there, over $100 billion of Russian assets that could be used by Ukraine.
This is typical, of course, for Donald Trump deals, where he thinks like just pay them, undoes everything.
Right.
Right.
But that was in there. But other than that, I mean, it's just no, man. Come on.
Well, I mean, it's full of things like NATO promises that Ukraine will never be part of NATO.
Right, and they're supposed to put, I can't remember, something in the Constitution barring them from stuff. It's just from attempting
and caps on the size of the military, and restriction on NATO can't put forces in Ukraine either.
Right, right.
All kinds of stuff like that. It basically says if Russia wanted to at some point try again, they're making sure that Ukraine would not be in a position to defend themselves a second time.
Right.
Now it does say Ukraine can apply for EU membership, so it does have that. Not NATO, but EU.
There are also a thing about security guarantees, but listen. This deal is very one-sided, and it's just a non-starter.
One thing I saw actually.
Will that get him the Nobel Peace Prize?
Oh, of course. I just want to say this. I saw this out of the 28 points. I saw this one posted right when we were starting the show, and I probably should verify this, but what the hell? If this is wrong, I'm sure somebody will correct me. Point 27 apparently is structured specifically for Donald Trump.
I don't think this is real.
I don't think this is true. So I shouldn't say it.
No, I don't. I'm looking
I know
at
it.
it. I'm reading
Peace
it.
Council thing.
It sounds. I thought I had
Exaggerate.
read the point. Yes.
Let me bring up the Axios version of this.
I mean, all of these powers continue forever, even after he leaves office.
Well, what they're doing is setting up a commission, an independent commission that just happens to be headed by Donald Trump that makes a bunch of decisions. Let me look up the like I said, I'm gonna look up Axios. Hold on, give me a minute.
Beep boop, beep boop.
Here we go. Okay, here is Axios put Trump's full 28-point Ukraine-Russia peace plan. And so let's see. You're kidding me. I saw more of this here. Now I'm hitting a paywall. I didn't hit the paywall the first time I looked at this damn thing. Let me see. Peace plan, blah, blah, blah.
It is on. What's the name
On
of
Apple
the
News?
thing? Yeah.
Okay, the article in Axios, Trump's full 28-point Ukraine-Russia peace plan. I'll look it up in Apple News too at the same time. You'll probably get to it for faster.
28-point peace plan. Wait. Oh. Here we go. Trump's full 28-point Ukraine peace plan. Here you go. I'll send you the.
Okay, I've got it in front of me.
It crashed.
Okay, here are the 28 points.
All right.
Number 1, Ukraine's sovereignty will be as I can lose my ability to speak. Number 1, Ukraine's sovereignty will be confirmed. Number 2, a comprehensive non-aggression agreement will be concluded between Russia, Ukraine, and Europe. All ambiguities of the last 30 years will be considered settled. Now, this is one of those things, by the way. A comprehensive agreement will be concluded. This is not the comprehensive agreement, right? This is all like vaporware. Number 3.
This is like this is like a letter of intent, basically. Is what you got here.
Number 3, it is expected that Russia will not invade neighboring countries and NATO will not expand further. Number 4, a dialogue will be held between Russia and NATO, mediated by the United States, to resolve all security issues and create conditions for de-escalation in order to ensure global security and increase opportunities. That's another
agreement will be legally binding. Okay, by the way, yeah. So, but wait,
don't jump ahead. Let me give all 28.
Right, fine.
5. Ukraine will receive reliable security guarantees. Specifically, the U.S. and its NATO allies would treat an attack on Ukraine as an attack on the entire transatlantic community, which is interesting because that's essentially what NATO membership would give. Right. Number 6. The size of the Ukrainian armed forces will be limited to 600,000 compared to their 850,000 or so that they actually have right now. 7. Ukraine agrees to enshrine in its constitution that it will not join NATO, and NATO agrees to include in its statutes a provision that Ukraine will not be admitted in the future. 8. NATO agrees not to station troops in Ukraine. 9. European fighter jets will be stationed in Poland. 10. The U.S. guarantee. The U.S. will receive compensation for the guarantee. If Ukraine invades Russia, it will lose the guarantee. If Russia invades Ukraine, in addition to a decisive coordinated military response, all global sanctions will be reinstated. Recognition of the new territory and all other benefits of the deal will be revoked. If Ukraine launches a missile at Moscow or St. Petersburg without cause, the security guarantee will be deemed invalid. 11. Ukraine is eligible for EU membership and will receive short-term preferential access to the European market. 12. A powerful global package of measures to rebuild Ukraine, including but not limited to the creation of a Ukraine Development Fund. The United States will cooperate with Ukraine to jointly rebuild, modernize, and operate Ukraine's gas infrastructure. Joint efforts to rehabilitate war-affected areas, infrastructure development, extraction of minerals and natural resources, and the World Bank will develop a special financing package. Number 13, Russia will be reintegrated into global economy, lifting of sanctions, long-term economic cooperation agreement with the U.S., and Russia will be invited to rejoin the G8. Number 14, frozen funds will be used as follows: 100 billion in frozen assets to be invested in U.S.-led efforts to rebuild and invest in Ukraine. The U.S. will receive 50% of the profits from the venture, of course.
Of course.
Europe will add
Wait, no. Donald Trump will receive 50% of the
Yes.
profits. What are you talking about?
The Europe will add 100 billion to increase the amount of investment available. Frozen European funds will be unfrozen. 15, a joint American-Russian working group on security issues. 16, Russia will enshrine in law its policy of non-aggression towards Europe and Ukraine. 17, United States and Russia will agree to extend the validity of treaties on the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. 18, Ukraine agrees to be a non-nuclear state. Number 19, the Zaporizhzhia, however you say that, nuclear power plant will be launched under the supervision of IAEA. Electricity produced will be distributed equally between Russia and Ukraine. 20, both countries undertake to implement educational programs in schools and society aimed at promoting understanding. 21. So, look, most of these points, by the way, are either just diplomatic gobbledygook, like we'll have a commission, we'll talk about whatever, a letter of intent kind of stuff. There are a few that aren't, that seem fairly innocuous and potentially positive. The key ones about are they're not the necessarily mechanisms in place to really enforce some of these, and distinctly limiting Ukraine's ability to defend itself. Anyway, 21, territories. Crimea, Luhansk, and Donetsk will be recognized as de facto Russian, including by the U.S. Kherson and Zaporizhzhia will be frozen along the lines of contact, which will mean de facto recognition along the lines of contact. Russia will relinquish other agreed territories it controls outside of the 5. Ukrainian forces will withdraw from the part of Donetsk Oblast that they currently control. Withdrawal zone will be considered a neutral demilitarized buffer. After agreeing on number 22, after agreeing on future territorial arrangements, both the Russian Federation and Ukraine undertake not to change these arrangements by force. Any security guarantees will not apply in the event of a breach of this commitment. The key element here is they're agreeing to the de facto control, but not de jure. So Ukraine is not giving up its claims. 23, Russia will not prevent Ukraine from using the Dnieper River for commercial activities. Number 24, humanitarian committee will be established to resolve outstanding issues like prisoners, detainees, family reunification. Number 25, Ukraine will hold elections in 100 days. Number 26, all parties involved in this conflict will receive full amnesty for their actions. I'll skip 27 because that's the key one that we were talking about. 28, once all parties agree to this memorandum, will take effect immediately. And back to 27. Agreement will be legally binding. Its implementation will be monitored and guaranteed by the Peace Council, headed by President Donald J. Trump. Sanctions will be imposed for violations. And that's all it says on that item.
Well, that's all it says, but it doesn't guarantee the term or whatever. I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, even if he heads it, I mean, somebody else is president, they're going to dump him on that. This isn't that's what I'm saying. This isn't exactly like, oh my God, he's been named forever to a fucking council. This is one of those positions, like, the moment the new president comes in, oh, you're the head of that? Fuck, you're gone. Bye. See ya. So,
Yeah. I mean, the other things that were in this.
Listen, I think the main thing about this treaty is that it's imposing on Ukraine right now. It's this whole thing that they have been adamantly opposed the entire time. That, which is why Russia has been fighting for inches of territory. Inches.
Yes.
Because what they want is, we'll stop the war just where the lines are frozen. That's it. And then that's ours.
Right.
They are, and usually in a lot of these conflicts like this, the aggressor is is forced to give back significant parts of territory in order to get
there's so many conflicts that end by essentially freezing the lines. I mean, look at Korea. I mean, how did the Korean War, quote unquote, end? It's not officially over yet, is it?
Well, it's not officially over, so therefore, what are we talking about? but the thing is that in other conflict, this isn't a compromise in any way. That's what I'm saying.
Right. No, this is basically give the Russians what they've been asking for, with the exception of, the de jure versus de facto thing that I
Right.
mentioned.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
aside from that, everything on this list this is what the Russians wanted
Want.
all along, with the possible exception that clearly when the full scale invasion started, Putin wanted to take over the whole damn country and have Ukraine
Right.
cease to exist as an independent country. So the Russians have clearly given up on that. But everything else here is what they've been saying they wanted for years.
Right.
And not, there's no real concession to what the Ukrainians have said they wanted,
Right.
which is for the Russians to get out of their territory and to join NATO and the EU. That's what they've consistently said they've wanted for years now. And by the way, even before that's the whole excuse for this invasion from the Russian side, is we can't let Ukraine go to NATO. But NATO had actually been slow walking it and saying no,
Right.
before this all happened. Anyway, but if you go through it point by point, which I'm sorry that took a long time because there were 28 damn points, but most of them
You can go, and what you can do is, like, when you actually
Speed
finish
it up.
processing. Yes, you'll go and put that section at 1.5, like for everybody, so that way you can go through all the points. Yes.
So for those of us who already listened to it sped up, it's going to be.
Yes.
I won't do that. However, anybody who is bored by it, I'm sure skipped ahead or increased the speed on their own.
Okay. Very good.
If I'd thought about saying it
Or maybe
before,
no. That's what you got. Okay, so now what you got to insert is at before
Oh,
you got to go back and post insert this saying Bing Bing Bing. I am about to read a very long list of things. If you don't want to hear them all read, please, or want to hear them faster, please accelerate your podcast client. Thank you.
Okay, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. I'll consider it. I will think about it. I got other things to do other than spend
you
time
don't.
editing. But
No, you
now
don't.
that you're,
What the fuck are you talking? No, you don't, you asshole. I got a whole bunch of other things to do. I got a job and shit or whatever. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't. No, you don't. You got plenty of fucking time.
I have other things I want to do.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm getting a haircut tomorrow, for example.
Oh.
I've got a haircut scheduled tomorrow. So and if I spend all this time editing, I might have to miss my haircut, or I might have to do it myself.
Oh my God. Heaven forbid. My God.
Get out the Floby.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, no. What I was saying is, in isolation, a bunch of these points actually do sound reasonable. Together as a package, it's essentially a complete capitulation of Ukraine to everything Russia wants.
Yes.
And so we have yet to see what Zelensky has not given an answer yet. So far, everything he said is we'll consider this, blah, 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 because he's under extreme pressure about this. But on the other hand, if he agrees to all this, he was probably going to be done internally in Ukraine too, because the population is very tired of the war, but I'm not sure that they're ready for complete capitulation like this. So, but you got a war-weary population. It's been years. Lots of people just want it to be over, and and you can understand that. On the other hand, there is not trust that Russia will live up to one iota of anything it agrees to. And also, there's not a lot of trust in the security guarantees either. Will they really come through? Yeah. Especially the U.S. under Donald Trump.
Right.
Is he really going to come through, or is in the end he's going to be like, well, I remember you wouldn't investigate Hunter Biden when I told you to. And it comes back to that.
I mean,
okay.
Anyway.
Okay, let's take a third break, and then we'll do two more and wrap it up. Okay, two more quick ones. Let's make a lightning round. Actually, lightning this time. This last one is an apple dream, but it is an apple dream that I have actually used on the podcast before. I picked from all the apple dreams, and I did publish a new one on TikTok this last week. Apple Dream 74 came out this last week. So, but you have to find that on TikTok, on my personal TikTok, not the Curmudgeon's Corner TikTok. You will see Apple Dream 74. It's a brand new one. But no, this one is Apple Dream 12 because I randomly picked out of all 74 Apple Dreams which one. And this has actually featured on the show before, but probably a long time ago. So here's Apple Dream 12. Enjoy, everyone.
It was like a continuation of the last one, but somehow space was involved. But I don't remember anything else. Maybe there was an airplane. No, not an airplane. Somebody was making fun of us at the end. And I was packing a suitcase, but it was too full. And there was one of those sculpture garden things, but all the sculptures were like cubes and other shapes, not like people and animals and things. But my suitcase was too full, and we had to go. But I'm not sure we were going to space, but space was somehow involved.
And that was it.
Okay, then. My wife had a dream yesterday where apparently she kept trying to pack a bag, but she kept packing and packing and packing, and she couldn't. It's like she could never finish packing. Because the packing kept going on, like, endlessly. So that was her.
As it does.
Yeah. So.
Okay, last topic from you, Yvonne.
Last topic from me. Okay, let's talk about because I didn't watch a lot of this. Mamdani went to the White House, met with Trump. How did it go, Sam?
Yes, he did.
How did it go?
It was a love fest. It's like, what the hell? Both of them were saying positive things about the other. You know, Mandami was very civil, very polite, which you kind of expect when you go to the White House. But like, you know, he was working very hard to talk about their points of agreement.
Well, listen, you've had times when even if you're going polite and thing to whatever to the White House, where you've had like shit that happened to Zelensky, like for example, where all of a sudden he was berated there and whatever, and I thought maybe that's what they were planning on doing, but no. He was
Donald Trump was talking about how we both love New York and how we agree on lots of things, and he's got great ideas about affordability, and you know, and how like he ran a great campaign and he beat a lot of people, and you know, all this kind of stuff, and you know, Donald Trump was glowingly positive about Mandami.
This is like bizarre. This whole fucking thing.
And like at one point, like Mandami was asked, you know, hey, you've called Donald Trump fascist. Do you still believe he's fascist? What do you think here? And Mandami starts to say, well, you know, blah blah blah. And Donald Trump is like, it's okay, you can just say yes. It's cool. It's easier than trying to explain it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there are a couple ways to interpret that. One, he was just laughing and friendly. The other is like, yeah, I don't mind being called fascist. Because, like, you know, I am. It's okay. Yeah, but it was all very congenial. It was all very, very happy-go-lucky. They were all talking about places where they want to work together, and you know, look, I understand. And Donald Trump kept saying like, all my policies are going to be great for New York. So like, it's going to help you succeed. You know, stuff like that. And every time something was brought up where they disagree, Mandami was very much, you know, hey, of course, there are areas where we disagree, but I want to concentrate on the places where we can work together. And he's like, look, one of the things, lots of people in New York moved over to vote for Donald Trump. And when I talked to him, the reason was affordability, cost of living. And that's one thing where I think we can agree that that's a problem and work together and blah, blah, blah. And that's basically how the conversation went. Now, people also point out that, as usual, Donald Trump's view of the world tends to be driven by the last person he talked to. And this was right after he had his meeting with Mandami.
Yes.
And Mandami is very charismatic and very
Yes.
personable. And so
Yeah.
Donald Trump probably came out of meeting, having had a great conversation and liking Mandami personally. And so was all positive about him. And probably 10 minutes after this press conference was over, he goes to talk to Miller or somebody, and he probably has a different tune by tomorrow.
Did he bring him a clock, maybe, or a gold little plaque or something? Because
Yes,
I mean,
a key to the city.
Yes, a real gold. That's it. He brought him a real gold key to the city. Yes.
Trump probably has 4 or 5 of those already from previous mayors, but
not a real gold one.
Maybe Giuliani might have sprung for the gold.
I don't know. No, they didn't seem to be that friendly back then when he was mayor.
Well, they did that skit where Giuliani wore the dress. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. But listen. But back then, I don't. Well, listen. Do you think Trump would not turn away another gold key to the city?
No, he would not. No, he would not.
Exactly.
He'd be
especially if it was engraved with 45, 47 thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. That sounds like, hey, bring him gifts, flatter him, and he'll do whatever you want.
And I'm sure Mandami is fully aware of that dynamic, just like anybody else who meets him these days.
Yeah.
That if you, and there probably was some sort of, I don't know. It doesn't even have to be a really expensive gift. It just has to be one that tickles his fancy in the right way. Expensive helps. Expensive helps.
Yeah.
Okay. However,
gold colored helps.
Gold colored. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. From spray painted from Home Depot.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm sure Mandami flattered him and said some nice things, and I don't know. I feel like
the Trump Tower looks fantastic. It's such a great building. We want to make sure that it's taken care of very well under me as mayor. Blah blah blah. There you go. You see, boom.
Well, and yeah, I mean, and part of what people have been reacting to this is the Republican Party as a whole had been salivating at using Mandami as the new face of the Democratic Party, to paint them all as radical socialists and now we've got Donald Trump being all chummy with him and talking about how great he is.
How you doing, buddy? Yes, and all the Republicans in the House are going, "What the fuck just happened?"
Exactly. Now that's not necessarily going to stop them, just to be clear. But it's he's not helping.
He's not helping. Not helping.
Anyway, I was listening to this driving while I was driving my son to school, and I was like, "What the hell am I listening to? This is just bizarre."
I kept hearing you say it. I'm like, because I don't know what the hell I was busy, whatever. And I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand. Because I fully expected this to be a shit show.
More like the Zelensky meeting,
right?
Yes.
I expected a Zelensky style meeting, not all of a sudden them standing there all grinning and happy.
Yes, and joking around with each other.
Giddy. I'm like, what the hell?
Now, again, I have confidence that, like, in this, like, Mendami can probably get the better of Trump in terms of manipulating him at this point. Like, whatever skills Donald Trump has had in the past in that area have been slipping, and now everybody knows how to get what they want out of Donald Trump.
Look, Mom Dami is quite charismatic, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
I mean, he is quite, from what I've heard, executives in New York, business executives that were really afraid of him, that have sat down and met with him, walked away with, oh yeah, we can work with him. We can figure stuff out, you know? Once they got past
We'll
all
pay for the damn free buses.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna bet you that's something that'll happen.
Yes, the Chase One bus line or whatever, you know.
Listen, let me tell you something. There is nothing that Trump really wants more than flattery in some way.
Yes.
It's and credit for something, whatever. Okay, so if you can maneuver it properly, then yeah, you can get whatever the fuck you want out of him. You just know how to just sweet talk him into it. Look at the Swiss. Listen, I've never seen a more abrupt turnaround than what happened with Switzerland. I mean, because they had been getting hammered with the tariffs. They'd been getting fucked, and they had gotten nowhere. And somehow, they decided, fuck this. We're going to get a meeting with Trump, and we're going to bring the goods. And the goods being a custom-made Rolex desktop clock. Okay? That must be very impressive, and I want to see a fucking picture of this damn clock. Okay? I really want to see this. Okay? And a solid... I mean, think about... You talked about gold. A solid gold bar. Personally engraved. With the 45, 47 bullshit on it. Trump, whatever. On a solid gold bar!
This is what Menendez is in jail for.
Yes!
Oh, jeez. Like,
and all of a sudden, tariffs went from 37 to 50%. Boom! Just like that.
People pointed out, like, you cannot get a more literal interpretation of what the Emoluments Clause was designed to prevent than a foreign government handing the president a gold bar to get specific policy results.
Right!
Okay. Last topic from me. We previewed Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Okay, yes. Yeah, we can't skip that one.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Okay. What the fuck? I mean, what the fuck happened? This happened quickly.
So look, it's been building, but specifically, like let's go through the last couple
of months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Specifically the newest rift, and they've had a few places where they've disagreed in the past, related to even like getting rid of the previous speakers in those speaker battles.
Yeah.
They were on opposite sides of that, but recently this has been all about the Epstein stuff. She was one of the key Republican defectors that gave them the numbers to do this discharge position. And she has been vocal about it, and she has talked about it repeatedly, and she has not budged from her positions on that, because where she came from was QAnon.
Right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was all about the QAnon.
She is the big QAnon
and the Pizzagate and all this kind of stuff. Everything we were talking about the whole point of this is we have to dismantle the Democratic pedophile ring. That was a big part of her thought process. The Epstein stuff was important to her from the beginning. She honestly felt like this was a complete betrayal by Donald Trump, and how could he possibly be against releasing this stuff? This is one of the things he promised to do.
Yep.
And so she was consistent on this from the beginning. She would not give in to any pressure on it. And this was a part of it, and she started openly speaking about it. And then the government shutdown. She started going against the Republican line on the government shutdown as well, talking about how the healthcare subsidies, the Democrats had a point. It was hurting her own family and blah blah blah. And that let's just make a deal and end this thing and let's fix the healthcare stuff. And so she started doing a bunch of those things. But what happened in the last week is apparently she started getting deluged by death threats. Okay.
Oh my
God.
God.
And by MAGA folks. And, she was asked in an interview, and this goes to what we've talked about before about like none of these things matter to these people until it happens to them.
Right.
She's like, all of a sudden you're worried about this because you're the target. You didn't seem to care at all when
others were the target.
MAGA death threats were
right.
Schiff
right.
or other people on the other side of the aisle. And she actually said I don't want to give her a lot of credit, but she actually said, that's on me, and I was probably wrong.
Sam, I have never seen a more a transformation occurring faster than this. I mean, it's just top to bottom.
To be clear,
she was the Jewish space lasers lady.
I know, but to be clear, she's not turning into a Democrat. She's not turning into a liberal.
No,
if you read her statement where she's Xing, she's got like all kinds of anti-trans crap in there. She's got all kinds of standard conservative tropes in there as well.
Yeah. But come on. Yeah. But all the things that she has backed off on.
Yeah.
And how quickly she did.
Well, I mean, I think, and I don't know if this is a canary in the coal mine. I cross my fingers, but is this like starting to snap out of the cult and realize like, oh my God,
well, if you look at the polling data,
fooling me all these years.
If you look at the polling data, if you look at all the information that we're getting right now, it's looking like that is what's happening. Okay, and that's the one thing that we could add to this. I'd mentioned in one of the topics talking about that Trump right now is at all-time low for this term. Okay, he hasn't hit the low on approval
on some of the poll averages he has hit the net approval lowest of both terms.
Oh, he's hit for both terms. Okay, all right,
for both terms. Now this depends.
But that's
crazy
because that includes COVID.
Right, that depends a little bit on on which average you use because it's close. Okay, but there's several factors. The first thing was just the low for the second term. The next was below where he was at the exact same time 8 years ago. And then the last milestone was the lowest of both terms. And on some poll averages, he did hit that a few weeks ago. He's bounced up a little bit since then.
But it's crazy. But then add on top of that, Sam, and I think what MTG was looking at, that fucking generic ballot. Okay, all right? The margin that the Democrats have right now is for a wipeout of epic proportions, okay, for the Republicans, okay? Forget it. I mean, right now, here's the thing that's happening. The gerrymandering that they wanted has been stalled. A whole bunch of states that they thought that they would get on board to doing stuff have refused to do it. They've just refused to do it. Then you've got the problem that the Texas maps have been blocked, like right now.
Well,
now
SCOTUS
temporarily.
just unblocked them a couple hours ago, but yes.
Oh, what?
Yes, SCOTUS has allowed the maps to remain in effect while the appeals process continues.
Okay.
As of like just a couple hours ago.
Okay. But okay, fuckers. Anyway. But the thing is
that's one of the things that just one justice can do that, and it's just until the process plays out.
But yeah. Okay, but the bottom line is
SCOTUS I wouldn't be surprised at all if SCOTUS backs up Texas in the end. But go ahead.
But the thing is that it's gotten they thought that Trump had asked all these states to do it. The reality is that they're not getting anywhere as far as they thought they would with the maps. But then you add the fact that the ballot looks that bad that it may not fucking matter. Okay, if the polls aren't that bad, even the gerrymandering isn't going to save their asses anyway.
Right. Yeah, and this was the summary that I believe it was DDHQ put out an analysis of this, but also the Gerrymander Project out of Princeton also did something similar. Basically, if you net out all of the gerrymandering efforts, both Republican and Democrat, blah blah blah, it gives perhaps a mid to high single digit additional advantage to Republicans, but in a wave election, the movement can be like 20, 30 seats.
Right.
And that completely swamps the like 7 or 8 seats that
maybe they pick up.
Getting.
Exactly.
Now it still makes it 7 or 8 seats harder, but if there really is a wave election, then that gets blown away.
It doesn't matter. And that's what it's looking like. I mean, at this point. So, I mean, I think MTG's just reading the tea leaves also. She's an asshole. I don't think she's a stupid asshole.
Right.
I think.
Wow.
Was she? No. No, Sam. No. She's a fucking grifter. She's an asshole.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This is all fucking grift. That's what you got to remember. It's not how these people think.
I think she's a true believer in some places as well.
I think there may be a thing here or there that she's a true believer, but for the most part, she's just a fucking grifter. I really do. Because, I'm sorry, you can't switch positions on that much shit like she did in 2 months unless you're that much of a grifter. Sorry, but it just doesn't happen. Not if you're a true believer. Yeah. So I just think that she saw the tea leaves. She said, we're going to get fucked. I got to get off this train before it crashes into the station. So let me just jump off now. And let me let Johnson and all these other idiots go and crash into the station. I'm off. Bye. So I think that's what she's doing. I think the death threats don't help.
No, and I think that's one of the... Look, I honestly think that's a big part of this. The quote from her that I'm going to read real quick, and of course I brought it up, and then I
Of course you did.
Change the screen. Okay, from her statement, I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. There's no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. I think she basically, the president was going to war against her for her being insubordinate, and she's just like, I'm out. I'm not playing that game. Now, does she come back playing another game? I mean, there's lots of speculation of her. She has said she's not going to run for president, but who knows? But there's lots of speculation that she wanted to run for Senate. And one of the reasons for this rift was Trump was not backing her for Senate.
Here's the other thing. She likes money. Okay, all right? So She's been very, and so there is a lot of grifts that you can carry out, like right now with all these people. Far more, not being in the house and being this person that's out there that talks. She'll get paid to be on Fox and this and that and the other thing. She'll get paid appearance fees. I had shared this thing about this swimmer, Riley Gaines, this video about how she's being, how she is the one that really launched this entire anti-trans movement. She was the lightning rod for this, okay? And how she is just getting paid left and right to go and like spew this shit all over the place. It's a money maker. How she was, she realized all of a sudden that she could turn this into fame and money, and all of a sudden she's just out there as the fucking champion of whatever, talking about the swimmer that supposedly, by the way, that didn't even tied her for 5th place. That's all that happened. By the way, tied her for 5th place. Okay. And oh, by the way, you know what? Didn't say anything about the coach. It was supposedly talking about how that person like caused her trauma, but not talk about the coach. That was her coach that got, into trouble and fired for sexually assaulting the other swimmers on her team while she was on the team.
Right.
So, hey, let's not go against the actual fucking sexual assaulters. Let's make up a story about somebody who didn't do anything. Because that one makes money. Because, by the way, the other story, just like the Epstein victims, does that make money? Guess what? No!
Right.
So, on that happy note.
Yes. Let me give one last analysis related to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Somebody put out, this is Lisa Desjardins, who's a journalist who's been in a couple different places. I forget where she is right now. Folks, MTG just cranked up the stakes in the Tennessee 7 special election on December 2nd. And here's why. Currently, we have 219 Republicans and 213 Democrats. On December 13th, if the Democrats win in Tennessee, it becomes 219 to 214. January 6th, once Marjorie Taylor Greene is gone, it drops to 218 to 214. In January 31st, there's a special election in Texas's 18th, which is expected to go to the Democrats, which will make it 218 to 215. And then in April, there's another special election in New Jersey's 11th, which the Democrats are expected to potentially hold, which would make it 218 to 216. Which means
Jesus Christ,
that only one defector from the Republicans on any given bill makes it to 217 to 217 tie, which fails to pass.
Wow.
So we take an already close house and potentially make it much, much closer in a couple months. Now, apparently the New Jersey one isn't an entirely given for the Democrats. And the one in Tennessee is not a given for the Democrats. This is a scenario.
Yeah, here's another thing
a
that you might get.
scenario.
By the way, given how MTG resigned, you got a couple of other resignations from Republicans that pretty much think that they're going to lose and they want to get ahead for this. And this fucking thing, this is game over.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I think there'd be a lot of pressure for folks. If you were the one vote that kept the Republicans in the majority, they're going to do everything they can to keep
yeah,
you
but
from
if you're
resigning.
that pissed off about shit, as happened to some of these, they're just, they're not going to care. It's a very tight, it's a very, 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 very tight situation.
Yes, it is. And And we're gonna have, by the way, we're gonna have another like government funding thing in January. You know, because they only kicked the can down the road a few months. You know, so.
Hey Sam, is the economy? How's the economy doing? It's doing great. Any layoffs that you're worried about or any stuff?
I don't know. I've heard there might have been a few layoffs.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
I don't know who
right?
might have been affected. There,
Chase, I don't know. We're gonna have to look up the records. Okay, all right, very good.
Well, and there've been more since the one I was involved in. There've been more. You know,
there's been layoffs everywhere. It's fucking crazy. I mean, look, listen,
today was Verizon, right?
Yeah, but look, HB Enterprise where I was working. Look, I had a friend of mine that worked there 28 years. They got laid off too. They had announced a big layoff. They were one of the first people that got laid off in the layoff. It's really bad out there.
And I don't know. I am pessimistic. I'm expecting it to get worse before it gets better.
But Trump is doing all these things to improve the economy with the tariffs. So we're going to get those tariff refund checks. Indeed. Dividend checks or whatever. What are they? I don't know. What do they call them? What do they want to call them?
The important part is his signature will be on them.
Ah, I see. The tariff dividend check or the part where it's like my tax refund, I guess. It's kind of like that. That's all it is. It's just so stupid.
Anyway, let's wrap this thing up.
Let's wrap this thing up.
It's past time. It's past time. Go to curmudgeon-corner.com.
Huh? What?
You gonna sing some more? Sing.
No. I'll desist.
Why don't you sing the whole bit about going to the website to find all our information?
I don't know if I can swing that one that quickly.
No.
Go to our website. curmudgeon-corner.com. It's a fabulous website. It's got all our podcasts in there for many, many, many years. There. Website.
That's lovely. Go to curmudgeon-corner.com, not curmudgeon.corner.com.
I said
dash. Whatever the hell you said.
I said curmudgeon's dash corner.
Dash works. I guess
dash works.
You know, I say hyphen, but yes, it's a dash.
It's a dash.
Anyway, because that damn domain squatters on curmudgeonscorner.com without a hyphen. Anyway. Yeah. They wanted like thousands of dollars for it.
Yeah, fuck them. No.
We're fine with the hyphen dash thing, whatever. Anyway, go to our website, curmudgeons-corner.com, for our archives, to see all our old episodes, transcripts, all the ways to contact us, and of course a link to our Patreon where you can give us cash money. And at various levels, we will mention you on the show. We will ring a bell. We will send you a postcard. We will send you a mug. And importantly, at $2 a month or more, or if you just ask, we will invite you to the Curmudgeon's Corner Slack, where Yvonne and I and a bunch of others are on there all the time. We've recently had Emily and Sammy from the Sir podcast join us on the Slack. And oh yeah, I'm on their podcast this week as well. The last 2 weeks I've been on their podcast. Go check out those episodes. Join our Slack. It's a lot of fun. The more the merrier. And so Yvonne, what's a highlight from the Slack that we have not mentioned on the show and will be so exciting and compelling, people will want to join the Slack and tune in every day?
Well, I just shared this almost right before we went to record. Serious question for the millennials. My older cousin said she used to burn CDs for her crush. Like with fire? Was that a ritual? Did it work? You guys were ... So, Sam, is that how you burn your CDs? You use fire?
Yes.
Yes? Oh,
really
nice.
Good. Really good with marshmallows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Just to do a little campfire with okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I here's the thing. I realized that question was not that unserious. I think that was a real question. I don't think somebody made that up. The reality is that if you're a young person and you hear about, when's the last time you burned a CD? I don't remember. I don't remember the last time I burned a DVD.
I was about to say, I'm not sure I ever actually burned a music CD. I burned data CDs, but I don't remember if I actually burned an actual regular music. I might have done it once at a request for somebody else. I'm not sure. I know I burnt data onto CDs a few times, but that's different.
Well, but you burned a CD, maybe not for music, but you burned a CD.
Yeah. But even then, it was rare. I remember.
I did a lot. I burned a lot of. I did a lot of like CDs, MP3 CDs. I even burned. Not as many, but I did burn a few DVDs. Video, recorded video that I transferred onto a DVD to give to somebody. So I did do all of those. Yeah, I mean, I definitely did a lot of burning. I mean, I had a lot of blanks because I did regularly burn so many of them that at some point then with MP3 players and whatever, or iPods or whatever, then obviously that practice.
There are plenty of places on YouTube and TikTok where you can get really hilarious, videos of Gen Xers like us, or even older millennials with younger generations, trying to get younger folks to use old technology. Like you stick them in front of a VCR and say, see if you can make this play. Or a rotary phone. Like, how would you make a call on
now
this
I
thing?
can see how that one, would stump quite a lot of, that one's fucked up. For them, they've never seen anything like this.
And all this kind of stuff, and just asking for references of things that, anybody in our generation would be instantly familiar with. But, someone who's in their 20s right now, what the hell are you even talking about? This is ridiculous.
Right.
And I'm sure to some degree the same was true, comparing what we were familiar with folks from 30 or 40 years previously. But the pace has accelerated, I think.
The pace is way accelerated. Come
of course,
on.
Everybody, every generation thinks that, right?
Like loading paper on a dot matrix printer. Can you imagine trying to get a millennial? Hey, you need to print something on a dot matrix printer. Go load paper on a dot matrix printer. That probably just completely they were like, what? What is this? That would be, and that was one that was common that we had to do all the time.
Yeah.
Floppies.
Yeah. I've seen TikToks within the last week about people like being, comparing looking at the 3.25 floppies, and they're like, or 3.5, and are like, this isn't floppy. What are they talking about? And then people being, well, you see, the bigger ones are floppy, and there's still a floppy thing.
Well,
inside
there is a floppy thing inside. Yeah.
Right. And but we are, when we first did Curmudgeons and Corner in college, it was a little bit ironic because we were like 20, 21 years old, and Curmudgeon is like a cranky old guy. But now, decades later, we earn the title. We are already cranky old guys.
The reality is that we were already cranky.
We were always curmudgeons.
Yeah, we were already cranky by then anyway. So
Yes, exactly. We embodied. We may have been 20, but we already had the mind of like 70-year-olds.
Yes. What the fuck is this? Anyway, stuff like that. Yeah.
Kids these days, goddamn
fuckers.
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay. We're out of here. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great week. Oh, I guess this coming week is Thanksgiving for those of you in the U.S. who celebrate. So enjoy your turkey or whatever else you have for your Thanksgiving meal if you have one. We had I didn't tell the story here, but we had a kitchen accident that that caused significant damage to our stove about a week and a half ago. So, and we are getting it repaired, but it won't be repaired until after Thanksgiving.
Oh my god.
So it'll yes, it involved an exploding can of corn that hit Brandy in the face when it exploded and broke the glass cooktop on the stove.
Oh jeez. Oh, so well. Okay. Well,
Everyone's fine. Everyone's fine. It was scary when it happened, but everything's fine,
Yeah,
and
I
we're
can
having to like pay to get that fixed, and our refrigerator's failing at the same time. So we're also having to get a refrigerator. All good timing to happen right after I get laid off, of course. But whatever. We'll deal with what we have to deal with.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, is your refrigerator supposed to be almost 60 degrees? I don't think so.
No, no, definitely.
And we could get that repaired too, but it's a piece of shit. So we're getting a new refrigerator. No Samsungs.
Yeah, no Samsungs. Fuck
Samsung
those.
sucks. Yes. Sorry.
I got a GE to replace the Samsung that basically was problem after problem after problem after problem.
Exactly.
The GE 10 years, not one service call. Not one.
Yeah. Anyway, we're at the point of all that was happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy
Happy
your
Thanksgiving, everybody!
Yes, and that's it. Here comes the goodbye music stuff thing. Here you go. Bye.
Bye.
There was corn everywhere. The entire kitchen covered in corn. It was fun. Okay, hitting stop.